You are watching Xirtus.
You know what it does for me? It does not mean that we can't trust the evidence. To me, it signifies that we never could trust the evidence.
Right.
Like that everything or
Yeah,
most
blessed
of the
is those who
narrative
can
that
believe without seeing. Right.
right. We believe things because of authority, right? Because somebody told us that that was true. And even, I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that I don't necessarily like believe that like Epstein is a perfect example, right? Like if you tried to have said that, say in 2018, I remember arguing that. Oh, I don't think there would be like a petty island that none of the mainstream consensus would have no evidence of. And now it's almost like common knowledge.
Hey, just for theoretics, like suppose, Will, that you or anybody that you had a good friend that filmed Pretty kicking the back of that van. Like you have a good friend who filmed that and you know him and he's like, hey, I filmed this thing. And then people on a podcast or whatever were going off about how we don't know anything. We don't know, your energetic feeling around it. Like if that was a good friend of yours that for a fact filmed this thing and he showed it to you right afterwards and was like, oh, and then it went to the press, the feeling that you'd have is like, but it's real. You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah.
But
see, to me, it doesn't matter. Like, this is a thing that I learned from like reading Sherlock Holmes way too many times. Like, what the guy
isn't as bad as they say. What were you going with that?
Watson, at the very beginning, Watson is trying to figure out what Holmes's occupation is, because that's immediately right when he first met Holmes. Holmes knew who he was and summed him up. But
he's been a doctor in Africa. We can tell. Yeah.
So there's this moment where he's like analyzing his responses, and Holmes doesn't realize that the Earth is round. And he's like, Holmes, I'm astounded. I'm like, how could you be?
By the way, Dr. Holmes knows the Earth's shape. Keep going, but yeah.
But he's like, you don't know. He's like, not only do I not know, I don't care. It just takes up space in my brain because it has nothing to do with what my job is. It has nothing to do with me solving crimes, so to speak. The point is sometimes
the biggest crime, the biggest lie. No, keep going.
Sometimes we assume things, but they don't matter. And the same thing is true with Petty. Like the only things that we know about him is what we're told about him. 5 years ago, we would have said he was a crisis actor. We would have said like he might not even have existed. And maybe that's the reason why they changed his appearance, because you can probably find him in other events. Do you get what I mean? Like it doesn't matter if it was him or not. It doesn't change any situation.
I've seen other examples of him at different events. That's something that. But am I looking at him, or are you saying?
Or is he hired? Like people said that he was hired. At that point,
he quit his. He left
him would go away.
He left his job as a nurse, and that's the idea of that argument.
So
he was just being paid to be a full-time protester. So they're paying people to be full-time protesters, and they're out there with with guns and no ID. It's like, come on, you guys got to be at least professional if you're going to do this. You got to do it right. If you want to carry a gun, at least have your ID on you.
That's what I'm saying. Like. It would have looked suspicious to us had it happened at any other given time. And now that we're at this point on the timeline, we're accepting it as fact. But none of it is like actually set in stone, and none of it changes either event.
I never accept anything as any media narrative as a fact, right? I wouldn't use that
or any alternative media narrative as a fact, quote unquote alternative. I've been watching all these people insisting that they know exactly what pizza is, and they know exactly what jerky is, and grape soda, and whatever the code word that they feel is a code word. They'll tell you, I know what this is.
I don't know what I know what pizza is, but what is jerky and what's grape soda?
Do you?
It
looks like code for any sane person. You don't get rent pizza for an hour. Can I get I would love a pizza for an hour. Like nobody says that, and if they do, we're not talking about pizza. Now, is it just that the people are being treated as pizza? That makes the most sense, but you still don't know until you know. Like the jerky thing, I personally feel I'm leaning in the direction that they're talking about stem cells.
Yeah,
if you watch videos of the
grape soda is stem cells or jerky is stem cells?
I think jerky stem cells, the way that they're talking about it, that not just stem cells, but like an aborted fetus.
Jerky.
Like, so here,
That's gross.
well,
I mean, it makes sense that would be what it is in some.
Have you
weird
seen the
poetic
video
way,
of
but
the super rich guy talking to the girls, explaining to him why he wants the stem cells? He wants their aborted fetuses. I just shared this to go. If you look at Andreas,
show me the files. I want to know. Like you keep telling me about the pizza and stuff, but I want to know. Like, have you
look it up? I
actually
look
gone
at
through it?
stuff every single day.
There's even like a clone of Epstein's Google Drive and iCloud account, and you can see everything going on.
If you scroll,
Gmail.
By the way,
world or
I just
something.
feel like this is important, and I want to share it too, just really quickly. If we're talking about Clonade and Raelians, and then MK Ultra and Hillary Clinton and jerky grape soda. Don't you want to believe this? Don't you want to believe this?
I mean, it feels like it would be. It would make a lot of things make sense, wouldn't it?
It does make me feel better. How far do I go to find what you wanted? Further down?
I think it's in my replies,
highlights?
maybe, because I mean it is. If you kept scrolling, you'd probably find it. But also, I just commented it. I think recently to there it is.
Okay, so. I'm guessing jerky matches stem cells, right? And so this was where until we know what grape soda is and jerky are code for, I think paying taxes is optional. I like Bobby 3.
He's responded to this too, by the way, to what I shared. If you scroll down, he's like, he wants to know who the cameraman is. Yeah, find the cameraman. Yeah, but
hey, DJ Butler got in on this. I wanted to bring up DJ earlier because he had said something the other day talking about the where was it the 1980s satanic panic. He brought up the satanic panic, and he took it from the perspective of, I think, a Mormon apologist, because obviously a lot of Mormons have been blamed by Protestants as being part of the satanic panic. For, whether there are some groups of, people in Ogden that were that were using Mormonism as a cover or not, there's clearly tons of money going into promoting the idea that every satanic ritual abuse scenario is made up by kids who saw too much television in the 80s.
Right.
Which is just, it's really hard for me to believe that to begin with. But even after I've been force fed all of the propaganda that the satanic panic was just, an accident because Alice Cooper, it's just,
I've got a theory on how and why and all that, because I feel like it's the biggest gaslight, and here's the reason: is because there probably were legitimately and still are crimes that are being done by larger groups and of organized crime. And there were and for any police department to be like, you got us, all those crimes, it might have been like 7 or 8 people. It was really messy. We were never going to catch everybody. But it's so much cleaner if you can just be like, it was that guy. It
was the son of Sam. Wasn't it the son of Sam who insisted?
I'd extend that to Timothy McVeigh and everyone.
He confessed to a certain amount of the murders and said, I have no idea about these other ones, but these ones I for sure did. And what would his
he claimed that he was there for all of them, but that he only pulled the trigger at some, and then he even implicated the 2 brothers that lived across the street from him or whatever, and another development. And he was like, and they did these other ones, and I was there, but I didn't pull the trigger for those ones.
Yeah. So, Andreas, I want you to play that video if you could, because it
feels
now,
like Andreas.
It's kind of an understated thing. Because I mean, I don't know, but this would explain a lot, because my feeling is kind of like with Utopia or whatever, where you're like, you look at their where these people are coming from ideologically, because a lot of these people want to think that they're good people. He's saying it's life-giving. So he's basically like, give me your stem cells. It's good for somebody could use them. It's just waste to get rid of them. But yeah, and in this case,
it's jerky though. I mean,
yeah.
Snap it to a Slim Jim.
You can't hear that? It's not loud enough. That's about as loud as
I guess that's all it's going to give us.
The stem cell technology that Peter and I are investing in is called SCNT, which takes the egg of a young, perfect woman specimen, takes the egg and takes out the nucleus and puts our DNA in the nucleus. They just go ahead and take it out.
Painful, right?
Huh?
Jesus.
So he's saying here that Peter and him are working on a special kind of cloning technology where they take the egg of a woman and they remove the nucleus so they can add their own DNA to the egg. So they have a perfect specimen for in vitro therapy. And she's asking if it's painful. All right. And he says, well.
And this is part of this genetic greatness that we don't see in any other race on the planet. These curvy, sexy black women from Africa. You girls have a kind of a monopoly on this genetic perfection.
You have so curvy, sexy black women from Africa have a monopoly on this sexual perfection.
And we want some of that.
We want.
So, girls, for $100, we will pay you for your egg.
I pay you $100, monkey.
So how much do you want for it? Let's bid. I bid $500 for the Olympic. Whoever I bid, he's gonna outbid me. $60,000 for the eggs. Yeah. Do you have that? If you have a portion?
I assume you're asking for at least 5 figures if you're at this table.
Right. That's the thing. So he's starting out with the lowest bid, right? So he's just like $100. They're like $100. Come on, that's not enough. And then it's like, okay, well, what do you think?
Now we've psychologically prepped you for putting a monetary value on life, on your. And he said $50,000.
But right now, this exists, right? This market exists, and the current value
and for
is
schmuck.
0.
So like jerky could be something as simple as schmuck. Like that's been prepared in such a way. That's why they say you got to keep it frozen, and they're talking about the amounts and stuff.
Wait, hold on. What the hell is schmuck?
You don't know what a schmuck is? What am I sugar know this guy? He ain't never had no schmegma behind
this fucking guy. Yeah, the foreskin.
Why do you think you call a guy a schmuck or a dork? What do you think dork
I don't
means?
know.
Now?
I don't know Yiddish.
Now that you don't know Yiddish. Oy vey! Oh my god. So no, but if this
this guy means foreskin in Yiddish.
Well, so you know how Eskimos have 50 different words for different kinds of snow, because they deal with so much snow.
I want to know exactly. I want to know the numerical value of how many words there are for foreskin.
If you want to start applying gematria to Yiddish, good luck, man.
It matters. It matters what kind of foreskin you're talking about too. Because a dork is a whale foreskin, right? It's a big one. It's a hoodie.
What are the coolest names for foreskins in the entire animal kingdom? I wish I had a list.
Oh my god, I wish I had a list too. If only there was some sort of a technology that made it possible for us to have a list of stuff. How much would you pay for a software tool?
Is for.
It could give you often cited as slang word for specifically that of a blue whale is the dork. Tell us more. Tell us about more foreskin.
I mean, apparently there is a website that says 199 funny names for foreskin.
1, 2, 3, foreskin.
But these aren't real names. These are just made up Reddit names.
The point is that a lot of these really, really rich, people, there's a shared ideology where things are rationalized. So if you've ever seen like the end of Utopia when they're talking about like how overpopulated the planet is, and John Cusack is just like trying to rationalize what we're doing with the vaccine isn't actually for the virus. The vaccine was produced in order to lower the population by not that it would affect the adults so much, but it would affect the people who haven't gone through puberty yet, so they won't be able to have children, they won't be able to produce offspring. Childhood. And so they're like, it's the most humane way to keep the population down. In a lot of these cases that I feel like when I get to a certain point in the rabbit hole, like as a general rule, you can usually see, well, what is the rationalization in these people's ideology for the things that it is that they're doing. So why I find this video so insightful is like, this is a particular circumstance. Like he's talking to these black women, he wants something very specific from them, having to do with the egg and what he wants to do with it. But like just that as a general rule, and when I say general, I mean general, is that like in his mind, you can see the way he's communicating around it. This isn't nefarious. This is life-giving. So like a lot of things like that, I'm like, hey, I'm sure they could rationalize. They're like, you got a fetus. That's why they wanted to come closer to term. because they get all these stem cells and they get the vitality from it. They're like real life vampires. Like these guys are real life vampires for all intents and purposes. And my question is, where to what end, like, are they doing stuff like this? You know what I mean? Like if you look into Epstein, you can see he wanted his DNA and all these people and all this stuff. Like it's like, where it, and then that looks like a narcissist thing. Like he just wants to see his reflection and everything, right? He's like, yeah, my dick looks weird. Wouldn't it be better if everybody's dick looked weird too? Like, and we just lived in a world of people with weird looking dicks that look like mine. Like that seems to be where he was coming from, but it's extremely egoic, narcissistic behavior. But these people, it just looks like they're fucking vampires. Like they want vitality, they want to elongate their life, and they're saying, hey, this would just get thrown out otherwise.
You know, that was what was said about the Jews, right? Like that's what's the basic archetype of like a vampire or Dracula. It comes from the idea of like blood libels or whatever.
Yeah, blood libel. But in this case, you can see that you can see what their relationship is to what they're doing, and it's very explicit in this video. That's why RFK the third was like, who's the cameraman here? I'd like to talk to that guy. You know, what else did he see, you know, when he's hanging out with these people and the kind of shit that they say, you know, that they live by. You know, it's crazy.
Xirtus.